Hey, you two. So I've always been more of a werewolf guy as opposed to a vampire guy. I think, at first it's mostly because of like the whole like Twilight thing that boomed a couple of years ago. But there, definitely with both vampires and werewolves, I'm more into the 70s and 80s vampires and werewolves because the practical effects were just amazing. I mean, an American Werewolf in London set the bar for that sort of thing, and I felt that I feel that the animalistic nature of the werewolves is fascinating. It's cool. So in the adaptation of Cycle of the Werewolf, the movie adaptation is called Silver Bullet. And Stephen King wrote the teleplay for this, and it's got the 80s written all over it, which I love. It's unapologetically 80s. There's a kid with a cool ride, and the main character is great. I really love the kids in Stephen King's books and movies are always really well done and fleshed out. I'm always surprised at how good the child actors are. I mean, if you watch like Stand By Me, both versions of it, and the Dark Tower movie, the kid actors are always really, really solid. Unfortunately, the same thing can't be said for some of the grown-up actors. But I thought the acting in Silver Bullet was all around pretty good. I really liked. It follows in the same steps as some of the other werewolves movies of the 80s, where the special effects are pretty good. I think the werewolf effects are better done in shadows and at a distance, and as opposed to when the werewolf's in full shot, it's not as intimidating. But I appreciate that effort as opposed to just having a computer generated monster. I think it works on a level as a fun film too. There's a lot of fun in this movie. I found myself laughing a lot of times, and I think it wasn't one of those things where it was unintentional. And it's like there's a scene where the werewolf beats somebody to death with a bat, and that was just hilarious. I'd never seen anything like that before. And yeah, when you have this kid that he's the only one that believes that this thing is going on. He's trying to tell his uncle, who is sort of his best friend, and the uncle being played by Gary Busey. This doesn't believe him at first, but he slowly starts to see things, and once the kid figures out who the werewolf is, Gary Busey's character starts to come along. And Gary Busey is great in this movie. I've always liked him as an actor, but I respect his work from the 80s the most. And if you're a fan of the novel, it follows the same beats as the novel, but the novel is a difficult adaptation because each part is sort of a short story in the novel because it's Cycle of the Werewolf, so it takes place over 12 months. But it gets the basic beats, and it takes the child character as the main character, and it's got some of the famous scenes like him shooting a firework into the werewolf's eye. That's one of the best scenes in the book, and it's one of the best scenes in the movie too. And again, it's like there's some of that dark humor too. And I think this is a good, solid Stephen King adaptation. If you're a fan of some of the other movies, I think this is a worthwhile watch. I definitely enjoyed watching it, and I've been on a Stephen King kick here lately, so there's going to be more Stephen King reviews from me. If you haven't, let me know if you've seen Silver Bullet. If you haven't, what's your favorite Stephen King adaptation? Let me know below. What's your favorite Stephen King book? How do you think Silver Bullet compares to the original book, Cycle of the Werewolf? And if you like what you see here, you can check out my books on Amazon. You can check out my urban fantasy series. I've also got a short story collection called Revolving Doors. That's short story horror and all that good stuff. Follow me on Twitter. Subscribe below. Thanks. Bye.